Okay. Hello, everyone. I just want to welcome you. I know the official forum begins in about 10 minutes, but they've asked me to come and normally provide some opening remarks as in a regular general membership meeting. So while you're still eating, I encourage you all to please get ready for something very exciting. So before beginning, I just want to formally dispose of the regular agenda that we normally have for our general membership meeting and officially welcome all of you. Ella, do we have a list of the, is Ella here? Ella, are you here? All right, anyhow. All right. Today is going to be something special. I'm glad, I'm very excited to see many faces here because what you are going to listen to today and tomorrow is very important. And I will explain a little bit. I think in all my years of voting here on the island for forever, this is a very, very important election. I'm not too sure if you feel that same way, but we have a slate of candidates, a number of candidates who want to step up and try to do something different. Now, I was on the radio the other day with Mr. Ray Gibson, and I was explaining the importance of today and tomorrow. You know, I've mentioned already in many times that the military can only take us so far. Many people have told me that as the chairman that we need to be able to do something in the next 3 to 5 years. We have a great opportunity before the coffers start running dry. And we need to start making adjustments and plans for when these monies start to slow down. We've got a great opportunity, as I mentioned. We also have a fledgling tourism industry that, as I mentioned on the radio the other day, is flatlining already. And anyone who's in the tourism industry here can be able to share that with you. So we cannot forget about the golden goose that we have depended on for so long, and many feel that we have forgotten about this golden goose. Last general membership meeting, the public auditor mentioned a number of concerns that also need to be addressed. And so what do we need? We need accountability. So I'm going to show you all something to see. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Can you see this little card I have here? If you can see it, your eyesight is freaking good. I'm just showing that with you. But this is a card. I want to share this with you. This is called an accountability ladder. And this is a card we give to every employee at First Hawaiian Bank. And it doesn't matter what job you have, whether you're a teller, you're a customer service rep, etc. Everyone has to be accountable in one degree or another. And in this accountability ladder, there's this middle section. We always want to be on the top, not in the bottom. The top, you're powerful. The bottom, you're powerless. What's the bottom? You want to, and somebody comes to you and tells you we've got an issue. There's a response. You're either going to wait and hope it goes away, you're going to come up with excuses, you're going to blame others, or you're just unaware of what the heck's going on. And I think many of us have encountered friends and staff that come up with these same responses. On the top, starting from the middle, we acknowledge reality. We say we own it. Then we find solutions and then get on with it. No harboring the past, we got to move on. And this is what we need to do. We need accountability. And this is for the candidates today and tomorrow, both gubernatorial and senatorial. At the end of the day, they are all asked to acknowledge the reality and ask, and this is the same thing we ask our staff, what could we have done better? And then we ask again, what could we do better? And that's why we're here today, really. Because the private sector pays for the taxes for services. We're the ones who keep the lights on in the government sector. And you have to ask yourselves this. Are you happy with what you're getting? Where are we going? Do we know? And these teams, I'm very happy to say, are stepping forward to want to be accountable. Because to run a government is not easy. And they're willing to take that challenge. But it's also our duty to elect those who we feel are best to do so. And that's why we're giving them an opportunity. This is one of two. Today we are doing the Republicans, tomorrow the Democrats, and then we will continue on. While we've conducted forums in the past, we're going to do something different, because we normally have the debate, the back and forth, etc. So to better explain this, I just want to thank a number of board members who really worked hard to prepare for today, because this is the first time we're doing this, and there was a lot of hard work that went into it. So, I want to thank our former past chair Tay, our current vice chair Marcus, Kim. Gosh, who else am I missing out here? Dan Tadinko, and especially Catherine, because they put something together that you will see. Now, what are we doing differently? Okay, and I've got 5 minutes to kill. So, and if anybody knows me, I can go on and on and on. So I've got the ladies out here ready to hit the stop button for me or ring the bell. What are we doing differently? Very simple. If you haven't seen it, we should have had a scorecard at the front where you can go in there and you start to score a lot of, these candidates. And these scorecard, very simple here, is based upon red, they're not aligned. There's no position. Yellow, they're partially aligned. And green, they're highly aligned. And this is what you have to answer with to yourselves. And we also have evaluators throughout the room where they're going to be evaluating on behalf of the chamber. There are a cross-section of industry individuals that will be evaluating on behalf of the chamber. And we're going to be looking at 5 different pillars. Number 1, fiscal discipline and sustainability. 2, government effectiveness and accountability. 3, economic growth and diversification. 4, business and regulatory environment. 5, government modernization and structural reform. These are a lot of the topics that have been coming out over the last several months, and a number of them that the Chamber has been talking about for many months, many years. So what we also did differently is that we did not send questions out in advance. Why? Because we felt that the future leaders of our island, that they should be prepared to answer comfortably, as I am sure they are today. I know they've been talking about their platforms, etc. So it's important now that we see them in action. And there were so many questions in each pillar. So we actually used a randomizer to select a question for each of the teams, including tomorrow. They are all going to have different questions around the same pillars. And what does that mean? Each will respond to a different question from each pillar for the core questions. Now, let's see, page 2, page 3. And then there's going to be a section where the teams, governor and lieutenant governor, can answer as a team. And then we'll also have a lightning round where they will say yes or no and a few open-ended questions where they can open and respond accordingly. But note that the candidates will be given different questions. Our moderator, Mr. Spielberg, I don't know if you know who he is, a.k.a. Our past chairman, a.k.a. Ernie Galito. He will be here to explain a little bit more. So, any questions so far? All right. I'm going to start to introduce our teams because in about 2 minutes, right now the teams are out there. You notice that we don't have the team set up because they're going to flip a coin. Everything's random. Everything's being, to provide a little bit of excitement because you don't want to get too boring, etc. You're going to have a food coma in about 20 seconds or whatnot, but that's beside the point. So I want to introduce the members so when they walk in, we're ready to kick it off. And if they're coming in, I think we're supposed to stand and pledge and salute them all or something. I don't know. So I'm looking at Shelley. She's looking over there. She's going to indicate to me. Anyhow, let me introduce them. The first team is Senator Tony Ada and E.J. Calvo, and Tony is a vice speaker, a candidate for governor, and Edward John E.J. Calvo is a candidate for lieutenant governor. Senator Vincent Tony Ada is a lifelong public servant, veteran, and businessman whose career in public service spans 2 decades. He served in the United States Army and Army Reserve from 1986 to 1993 before entering the private sector, where he worked as an aircraft mechanic and later as vice president of Ada's Mortuary. His government career began in 2009 when he was appointed director of Department of Youth Affairs, and he has since represented the people of Guam in 5 legislative sessions, including the 30th, 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 36th, and 38th Guam legislature, serving in key leadership roles including minority whip, minority leader, and currently vice speaker. Joining him is E.J. Calvo, an entrepreneur, sports leader, and community builder. E.J. has led multiple private sector enterprises spanning beverage distribution, real estate, insurance, and cultural events, while also serving as chairman as the Guam Economic Development Authority in 2013. He is perhaps equally well known as the head coach of the Guam's men's national basketball team since 2012, the winningest coach in the island's history, and as president of the Guam Basketball Federation, where he has championed youth development and new athletic facilities through public-private partnerships. Together, Mr. Ad and Mr. Calvo are running under the banner of Guam First. Our next team is this morning is Speaker Frank Blas, a candidate for governor, and Dr. Marianne Young Okada. I didn't know her name was Marianne. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Candidate for lieutenant governor. Speaker Blas brings more than 4 decades of public service to this race. He began his career as a Guam Police Department, serving from 1982 to 1996, and went on to serve as Guam's first Homeland Security advisor in the aftermath of September 11. He is a small business owner and president of Frank Blas and Associates, Inc., and has served as an adjunct professor at the Guam Community College. In the Guam legislature, he has held leadership positions across multiple sessions, including minority leader, minority whip, and Republican caucus leader, and currently serves as speaker of the 38th Guam legislature. He is also a published author and longtime civic leader, having founded the Guam War Survivors Memorial Foundation and coordinated a community food initiative that served more than 4,000 households during the COVID pandemic. Dr. Mary Okada is a distinguished educator and executive leader who most recently retired as president and chief executive officer of the Guam Community College, a position she held since 2007, making her both the first female and longest-serving president in the institution's history. Under her leadership, GCC maintained over 2 decades of consecutive clean financial audits, a record unmatched among government of Guam agencies. She holds a doctorate in educational leadership and has served in prominent regional and national roles, including the chair of the Pacific Post-Secondary Education Council and commissioner for the Accrediting Commission for the colleges and junior colleges. She is a founding member of the Guam Chamber of Commerce and a 2020 recipient of the U.S. Small Business Administration Woman in Business Champion of the Year Award. Speaker Blas and Dr. Okada are running under the campaign theme for a better Guam. So, let us welcome all these fantastic teams and give them a round of applause. And I would also, so to my left is, we've got the Vice Speaker, Senator Ada and E.J. Calvo, and to my right, the Speaker, Frank Blas, and Dr. Okada. Again, it was all randomly done. They did a flip, they flipped a coin. We thought we were going to have another UFC event in the side, but you know, we decided to be a little bit more civil and just flip the coin. All right, and our moderator, let me introduce our moderator. He's Mr. Ernie, just call me Mr. Spielberg Galito. So can I welcome up Ernie?
Candidates, can you please take your seats? Hafade Toda Hamzu. Thank you all candidates and attendees for being here this morning. This forum will discuss leadership, governance, economic development, public policy, and the future of Guam. Each candidate will have equal time to respond, and we will rotate the speaking order for fairness. Audience, please respect all candidates and allow them to share their views. Before we begin, I would like to review a few expectations for audience conduct. The Guam Chamber of Commerce aims to provide a professional, respectful, and informative forum. We want all candidates to have equal chances to share their views and discuss issues important to our community. So we respectfully ask all attendees to, first of all, respect all candidates, no matter your preferences. Do not interrupt candidates while they're speaking. Do not shout, heckle, or disrupt the forum. Hold the applause until each response ends or until I direct. And please silence all phones and disable notifications. Always be courteous to others and to our staff. And if any audience member becomes disruptive, we will ask them to leave, and we will escort them from this gathering if necessary. The purpose of tonight's forum is to encourage thoughtful discussion and informed decision-making. We ask everyone to help us maintain an atmosphere that reflects the dignity of the office being sought and the importance of the issues being discussed. Candidates have generously agreed to participate in this public forum, and we ask that each team be afforded the same courtesy, attention, and respect. So thank you all for your cooperation. And let's begin with the opening statements. So please table team one. Mr. Blas and Ms. Okada, please begin.
Thank you, Ernie. Hafade, good morning, and thank you to the Guam Chamber of Commerce for convening this forum at a moment when our island needs clarity, courage, and reform. Dr. Mary Okada and I are running as a gubernatorial team because what has been established as the status quo is no longer acceptable. Not for our businesses, not for our workers, not for our families, and certainly not for the future we all want. I asked Mary to run with me in this endeavor because she's built schools. She's created efficiencies, and she demands accountability. For too long, Guam has carried the cost of systems that are outdated, processes that are unpredictable, and decisions that lack transparency. These challenges don't frustrate the business community. They slow growth, weaken competitiveness, and erode public trust. And when trust erodes, everything becomes harder: investment, innovation, and even basic governance. We understand and are excited that today's forum focuses on issues that matter deeply to our island: fiscal stewardship, government accountability, economic growth and competitiveness, and the leadership required to restore and strengthen public trust. These are not abstract policies. They are the pillars that determine whether families can plan for their futures, whether businesses can invest with confidence, and whether our island can compete with a rapidly changing region. Fiscal stewardship must be more than just a slogan. It must be a discipline rooted in honest budgeting, responsible spending, and commitment to ensuring that every public dollar produces real public value. Reform means confronting inefficiencies head-on and refusing to pass yesterday's problems to tomorrow's taxpayers. Government accountability must be non-negotiable. Business cannot thrive in an environment where rules shift without warning, where approvals take months instead of days, and where transparency is treated as optional. Accountability is not about blame, it is about performance. It is about building a government that is predictable, responsive, and worthy of the trust it asks the public to give. Economic growth and competitiveness demand modernization. Guam cannot compete in a global economy with 20th century systems. We need streamlined permitting, digital government services, reliable infrastructure, and a workforce strategy that matches the pace of regional and technological change. Reform is not a threat to government, it is a lifeline to our economy. And at the center of all this is leadership. Leadership that is willing to challenge old habits, confront hard truths, and rebuild trust through action, not rhetoric. Public trust is earned when leaders are transparent, when they deliver results, and when they put long-term interests of the people above short-term politics. I look forward to today's dialogue and to the reforms we must pursue together to secure a stronger, more competitive, and more accountable future for our island.
Half a day and good morning to all of you. Thank you to the Guam Chamber of Commerce for hosting this very timely conversation. I want to personally thank all of you for your continued belief in our island and making investments to support our people by providing goods and services, creating jobs, paying your taxes, and supporting numerous nonprofit organizations and school-related activities. After all, the private sector has consistently provided resources and opportunities that fuel Guam's continued growth. My name is Dr. Mary Ann Young Okada, and I retired as the president from the Guam Community College in December of 2025 after serving 18 years. Guam has reached a pivotal point where executive decisions need to be made. I chose to run with Speaker Blas. I'm sorry, stop.
Response, everybody, how about that? Now, Mr. Atta and Mr. Calvo, your opening remarks.
Hapade, good morning, and thank you to the Guam Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum. My name is Tony Atta, and I'm here today with my beautiful wife, Annette. And my children and grandchildren were not able to join me here today, but a shout out to them. I'm a proud Army veteran, a small business owner, and have served our island in the legislature for 6 terms. I was recruited to run as Lieutenant Governor with Ray Tenorio in 2018, and again alongside Governor Felix Camacho in 2022. I believe God allows for setbacks so you can gain the wisdom, the character, and perspective needed for the journey ahead. I'm running for governor now because I love Guam, and it's clear that our island is not headed in the right direction. We all know the struggles we have been going through, the challenges of government red tape, regulatory uncertainties, recruiting and retaining employees, and managing rising costs. I share your frustrations, and I'm excited to discuss solutions here. We are not suffering from a lack of opportunity. We are suffering from a lack of execution. Our people deserve leadership, leadership that restores confidence in our government and makes tough decisions that put Guam first. Over the last several years, Guam received unprecedented levels of federal funding and opportunities to invest in our island's future. Yet, too often, projects have been delayed, deadlines have been missed, and results have fallen short of expectation. The issue is not about funding. With a budget of almost $450 million more annually than the previous administration, it's about whether our government can effectively manage, prioritize, and deliver. With a Calvo administration, we will get our house in order. Every agency will have goals, objectives, and performance standards that would be measured. We believe government must live within its means, operate with transparency, and be held accountable for results. Every dollar should have a purpose, and every public official should understand that they work for the people of Guam. Our goal is to restore confidence in government, not through promises, but through performance and fiscal responsibility. We will focus on strengthening our economy, improving government efficiency, and supporting local businesses, creating opportunities that our children will be here to build careers, raise families, and invest in their future. This election is not simply about changing leaders, it's about changing expectations. It's about proving that our government can work well with each other and bring back hope that Guam's best days are still ahead of us. With the Calvo administration, we will be your partners in progress. Thank you, God bless you all, and I look forward to our discussions.
Hafaday, I'm EJ Calvo, and I'm proud to be running for Lieutenant Governor with Tony Atta. I'd like to first thank my wife and my kids for all their love and support. I'm an entrepreneur and a businessman, and as far back as I can remember, my dream was always to create, to build, and to bring solutions. But a businessman cannot grow anything significant if the ground beneath your feet is unstable. I'm also a former chairman of GITA, and during those days, our economy was thriving. Our tourism industry was healthy and growing, and government projects were getting completed. When Senator Atta asked me to join him on this journey, he was clear that he wanted me to bring new ideas, energy, and management expertise. This job cannot be done from behind a desk. It requires someone who takes action, someone who understands how to develop the economy, and someone who can bring people together and make things happen. I'm ready to get to work, and given the opportunity with your help, we will elevate Guam to new heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will begin the policy portion of today's program. And each team will have up to 2 minutes in order to give their viewpoints on the policy, direction, governance ahead if their administration, should they be able to be fortunate to win the election. So I'll start off again with Team 1, to my left, to my right, actually. So here's some contextual background on the question regarding government modernization and structural reform. Every successful organization from time to time evaluates its structure, processes, and technology to improve efficiency and customer service. Government is no different. Modernization requires thoughtful investment, standardized practices, digital transformation, and a willingness to eliminate duplication while improving the delivery of public services. So, your question, sir? Do you support consolidating overlapping government agencies or functions? If so, which areas will you prioritize and why?
Thank you very much for the question. And first off, I do support the consolidation. Many years ago, I think it was in the 29th Guam legislature, I actually led the effort to be able to consolidate 2 agencies, which is the Department of Labor and the Department of Labor and the Agency for Human Resource Development. I also looked at being able to consolidate all of our land agencies together. And I see that there's a continued need to be able to do this. If you take a look at the government structure today, we have about close to 51 different entities, and in some of these entities, they overlap in as far as their responsibilities. And in some cases, over the years, what had happened is we moved some of these responsibilities to other agencies that don't have that responsibility. You know, one of the things that I've looked at is when I started in 38th Guam legislature, I convened what I called the business opportunity, the business conversation commission. And I also convened basically what is called the Guam Experience Commission, so that we can take a look at the different areas, one in the area of primary of tourism, and secondly was in the area of how businesses need to operate in the current government environment that we have. And as a result of this, what we've done is we've come up with different plans. We've come up with a couple of plans that I'm going to be able to introduce and launch in a couple of days. First off, with regards to the Guam Experience, and looking at how we deal with tourism today. And then, secondly, with the business, with bringing the businesses so we can talk about how businesses are able to operate, is finding those processes and those things that will occur within government regulation and statute that we can fix. And one of those areas is looking at I've got stop clock legislation that would provide for a faster time frame to be able to produce the fees or the licenses or the permits necessary to move forward. And I look forward to that being let out so that our businesses can continue to thrive.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blas. So, Team 2, your question, under the same context of government modernization and structural reform, your question is, how would your administration ensure that agency operating procedures are implemented, measured, and regularly updated to improve performance?
We will get the proper leadership into the different agencies to ensure that every director or deputy director that is in place into a particular agency has the expertise in those departments. The measurement of performance is going to be based on what is the outcome that they put. Now, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, what has been happening in the past several years is that we have not seen any performance evaluation of those that are heading these agencies. What we have been seeing is absolutely the opposite. In an ADAC Calvo administration, what you're going to see is that individuals will be placed, and that how are we going to get them to ensure that what they do, whether it be in a dashboard, that we start improving the quality of customer service to our people. When we improve the customer service, it's going to go through a process to where, let's say, for example, you have Department of Parks at DPW. When you input documents that has to go through a process, you're going to see a timeline of that process from start to finish. So when you input in DPW, how long it took to stay in that department? When did it leave that department to go to GPA? When did that department go to EPA? And that is how we're going to base our measurements of accountability and processes, so that the people will know exactly when they turn around and input or go online, they be able to see where their documentation is.
Yeah, I just want to add that in regards to organizational structure, as we know, those adjustments are going to be the biggest difference. I don't think we need to add new commissions, new agencies to the government already. We need collaboration. We need leadership at the executive level that can bring agencies together and have them work more streamlined, have them work in collaboration with each other and with one plan, so they're not all moving different directions.
Thank you very much. Response? Okay, so under the pillar of fiscal discipline and sustainability, here's the contextual background. The government of Guam manages more than $1 billion in public resources each year. Citizens expect those resources to be managed with fiscal discipline, transparency, and long-term stewardship. The Chamber believes good governance requires balancing today's priorities while preserving the financial capacity to invest in infrastructure, maintain public assets, and respond to future challenges. So your question under that context is, lapse funds continue to occur despite unmet public needs. What policies would your administration implement to prevent lapse appropriations and redirect unused funds to critical services?
I think with the questions of lapsed funds, what has been happening throughout the years is that agencies are not able to expend their total appropriation. And that is, it's an merit in itself, because sometimes the procurement process does hamper that ability. However, whenever an agency lapses their funds, what should happen is that they should not count on that revenue that they lapsed into the next fiscal year when they try to do their budgeting. That should go back into the general fund and not be a part of what they want to do in their expenditures, because that is how we can control the budget more precisely in ensuring that we're not putting more money out and they're getting additional lapsed funds into those departments and agencies. If you didn't use your funding for that fiscal year, then one or two things are obvious. One, you didn't need it to begin with, or two, you just couldn't spend it. So with that, we just have to ensure that each agency is properly budgeted, they go through the process, and they properly expend the funds that are given to them and the funds that they continue to receive.
Yeah, it's a management, management procedures that funds need to be allocated appropriately. You look at examples like the Department of Education, where you had, schools falling apart, definitely funds needed, but we lapsed $26 million in the last fiscal year, and that's just unacceptable because we know the funds are needed and should have been managed better. On top of that, we're in the theme of fiscal responsibility. We have federal grants being given to our island, to our government every year, and many of them are returned. They're expired, and we're just not executing properly and being fiscally responsible because we know we need those funds. We know we can put them where they belong and get a return on that investment, especially when the federal government is willing to give more grants. So our office and our administration will focus on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Response, everybody? So, Mr. Blas and Ms. Okada, your question under the same context of fiscal discipline and sustainability. Over the past decade, the cost of government has increased from approximately $5,500 to $9,000 per resident, based on a population of 170,000. Do you believe the quality of government services has kept pace? And what reforms would you implement to improve taxpayer value?
So I do believe that the pace of government has lagged behind based on the amount that we are spending per resident. And the reason for that is because salaries have increased dramatically, and the cost of the services increased as well. But that does not necessarily translate to better government services. So what we would possibly do is identify a pay-for-performance type of activity, so that individuals that are actually executing the programs in their respective agencies are held accountable for all the things that they do. So pay for performance. Not everybody works at the same level. They shouldn't all be paid at the same level. With the increased number of funding that is available, then government services should be increasing, because if you invest in modernization, digitization, or innovation, you will receive and earn more return on your investment than if you were just to let everything go the status quo. We did that at the community college. We invested in modernization. We made ourselves more efficient. We made processes more affordable. We focused on our strategic plan. We made sure that every individual working at the college was held accountable for all the transactions that they were responsible for. And that's important. People need to be held accountable for the work so that we don't return federal money, that we don't lapse federal funds, that we make sure that we provide information to all of you on what our dollars are being used for. It's important to tell you what they're being used for so that we can be held accountable for all of our actions. Thank you very much.
And the great thing about having only 15 seconds to respond to that is I can say ditto. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, under the platform of business and regulatory environment, here's the contextual background. Businesses create jobs. They generate revenue. They invest in our community. A competitive economy depends on predictable regulations, efficient permitting, transparent procurement, and a civil service that is responsive to residents and the business community alike. The Chamber believes government should be a partner in economic growth while maintaining accountability and public trust. Your question: will you require all regulatory agencies to know what rules and laws that are in place before imposing those same rules and laws on any resident or business seeking to build or develop?
Thank you for the question. You know, that was the very reason as to why, when I started in 30th Guam Legislature, I created the Business Review Committee so that I can bring the people, I can build initiatives that have been born as a result of this discussion. I didn't wait until running for governor to be able to do this. The need was necessary, the need was immediate, and we went ahead and we started to do this, and we're going to continue to do this. And with the Blas Okada administration, what we're going to do is we're going to continue that process. The government belongs to you. You are the government. We work for you, and in working for you, it requires for us to be able to have those conversations. How can we make government more effective and help you so that we can grow the economy? Without you, the government cannot grow. The government cannot do its work. And if we don't work and if we don't do the things necessary to be able to make the business environment much more attractive, much more affordable, much more profitable, then the government can receive the revenues that it needs to be able to continue to thrive. I want to give my partner some time.
Yes, I believe that the business community is a definite partner in everything that the government does. You are the one paying the taxes. You should have a seat at the table for all government policies, because effective government policies really is to ensure that we effectively implement those policies. And so it's important for all of us to have that conversation through advisory committees or...
Thank you very much. Response, everybody? So, Mr. Ada, Mr. Calvo, same type of question, different format. How would you standardize permitting requirements across agencies to reduce conflicting interpretations, unnecessary delays, and mountainous frustration?
That's where we talked about digitizing and utilizing technology, where you'll be able to turn in your documentations and ensure that every agency or department that your documentations go through is held accountable at a certain timeline. And what we can do is ensure that if it's not out in that agency in 5 to 7 working days, then it deems automatically approved, then moves to the next agency. It behooves the agency to ensure that they are reviewing the documentations on a first in, first out basis, and very expeditiously, so that they would be able to ensure that the next documents that come in are moving at the same process. If there is a hiccup, move it on to the next station so that the next agency can give their approval or disapproval, and then come back to the agency that had an issue, so that they can work out that issue and not stop the process because it's just there and then needs to go on to the next 4 or 5 different departments. It is a tedious process, but we're going to work on it to ensure that that process is lightened and that process is smoother, and that transition from one agency to the next agency, you'll be able to see the difference in what technology will do for our people.
Just to reiterate, it's about leveraging technology and assisting, providing those resources to the team, holding people accountable to those standard operating procedures, just like many of you do in your businesses. You are constantly, day to day, finding ways to run your business more efficiently, and that's the same way that we're going to bring that mindset to the government of Guam and hold people accountable to serve the public. I keep saying we need to improve customer service, and our customers are the people of Guam, and that's going to be our priority every single day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, so now we're going to talk about government effectiveness and accountability. Here's the background. Government performance is measured not only by how much money is appropriated, but by the quality of services delivered to residents. Whether in education, healthcare, public safety, public works, taxpayers expect measurable results, continuous improvement, and accountability from agency leadership. Your question, sirs, do you support recalibrating education funding based on actual student enrollment? And what principles would guide that decision?
I think that when we look at education and how we can prioritize education and the funding that goes to there, perhaps what we need to look at is site-based management and how we can improve the teachers, the principals, the families should have a say in how that school is performing. They should be able to turn around, and the principals can fire, hire, and adjust their personnel as needed. Before in the legislature, what was happening is that each school will come down and defend their budget. But now what has happened is that we turned around, they just lump sum the budget, and we don't know what school is getting properly funded. We don't know whether it's going to the classrooms. We don't know if it's going to textbooks. What we do know is that there is a big budget that goes to the Department of Education, and they continue to lapse funds year after year. So in order to cut down on lapses and cut down on useless expenditures, let's really look at what we can do with site-based management. It's working in the parochial schools. Charter schools are doing it. Let's see what we can do with the Department of Education school system so that they can be able to ensure that the quality of education is getting to the students because the funding is getting to that particular school and they don't have to wait for Central to act on what they're doing.
Yeah, I think the same thing with that business mindset, the same way that you would run different divisions in different areas. Decisions need to be made based on what's going on locally within that division, especially if you're going to be holding them accountable to results. Our test scores are below national average. We want to see that improve. We want to give the best opportunity to the next generation so they can build those careers, so that they can give back to the island. But how are you going to hold them accountable if you're not giving them the support that they need within their community? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Blas, Ms. Ada, I'm sorry, Ms. Okada, pardon me. Your question, how will you link agency funding to performance? And are you willing to reduce budgets or replace leadership when agencies fail to deliver measurable results?
Well, first off, one of the things that we're going to do from day one is we're going to require our agencies to come up with a strategic plan. What do they plan to do, and how are they plan to be able to make sure that the services that they're required, that they're mandated to provide, that they're going to provide, and give us the timelines. Give us basically how your work product, your worksheets. How is that going to be able to work, and so that we can not just measure the performance of the director who says that they're going to be doing this, but also measure the performance of the agency and how they're effectively using their funds. Because if we don't start to do this, if we just because it's Department of Labor, we just say they're going to be doing labor issues. Well, what specific labor issues are you going to work on? What are those mandates? What are those processes that you're going to work on so that you can improve the labor industry, so you can improve labor on Guam, and then hold them accountable to those standards, the standards that they're going to be able to give it and to provide, and to share those accountability measures with the community so that we can get your input as to whether or not it is actually working.
So many agencies have accreditation standards or requirements, and so using that alongside with standard operating procedures and agency strategic plans, you can evaluate the performance of not just the agency director, but the individuals that work for that agency. For example, at the community college, we have accreditation standards relating to finance, enrollment, everything, curriculum, and all of the individuals associated with those particular activities are evaluated, and those become their standards. So take a look at all the federal, local requirements, and yes, change out the management, change out the leadership if they do not perform.
Thank you very much. Thank you, both team candidates. Now we're going to move into the executive leadership portion of the forum. These questions will focus on how each team intends to lead, manage, and build a high-performing administration. So, Mr. Blas, Ms. Okada, your question is, what qualities, leadership standards, and expectations will you prioritize when selecting cabinet members and agency directors? And how will you ensure they remain accountable throughout your administration?
Well, first off, we got to make sure that they're qualified. And it's not because you know Frank Blas Jr. or Okada that you're going to get a job. Okay? And if you're going to want to get a job in a certain area, we're going to set certain criteria, certain standards. And in some cases, certain certifications, so that we know that you've got the basic knowledge and the basic skills first to be able to start to do your job. And then have that conversation as to what their vision is. What they see is they can provide to the agency and how they can improve the agency, but more importantly is how they can improve their aspect, the aspect of what they're doing to improve the lives of the people of Guam.
I would also like to measure their critical thinking ability, because situations occur and people have to critically think on their feet. They have to be able to address an issue immediately when it becomes a matter of life, health, and safety. So those are issues that are required. Also take a look at being able to roll up their sleeves and do the work, because a good leader understands the challenges that individuals in their departments see. Help provide them with the solutions if you understand what the processes are, or you understand what the challenges are, in order to make effective implementation of policies and business practices. So it's important that they understand, but they gotta be able to roll up their sleeves and get dirty, because it requires that.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Adam, Mr. Calvo, many successful organizations establish measurable goals, regularly review performance, and continuously improve operations. What management practices will you implement to create a culture of performance, innovation, and continuous improvement across the government of Guam, and what metrics will you personally review on a regular basis?
Well, we're going to, first of all, focus on transparency. The island deserves to know what's going on in every agency, deserves to know what's going on in operations. Publicly communicated dashboards, communications on budgets, timelines, goals and objectives. This will be a style of management that will produce results, and that's what we believe. We are also going to expand some of the roles and responsibilities within our executive branch, so that we can really get hands-on with the agencies and ensure that they're following through on the plan. I think planning is where it all begins, as we all know, and holding everyone accountable to plan on a regular basis and keeping everyone on track is what it's going to take to turn things around.
It's about holding the agency heads accountable. You know, Governor Calvo once said, if I need to do your job for you, what do I need you for? And that's where accountability matters, because if your agency heads or personnel cannot do the job that they are required to do, or even look out for each other and ensure that every agency, every department, reach out to one another and help each other, because in the end, this is about the people. This is about providing services for our people on our island. How else are we going to be able to attract others' investment from outside if we're not taking care of the house itself? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the next administration will likely face economic uncertainty, natural disasters, public health challenges, and unexpected fiscal pressures. Leadership is often measured by the decisions made during difficult times. If elected, what guiding principles will shape your decision-making during a crisis, and how will you balance transparency, fiscal responsibility, and the needs of Guam's residents while maintaining public confidence? I'm asking them.
Okay. Just checking. All right.
We'll take care.
Yeah, thanks for the
Want
question.
me to read it again?
Sure.
Okay. The next administration will likely face economic uncertainty, natural disasters, public health challenges, unexpected fiscal pressures. Leadership is often measured by the decisions made during these difficult times. If elected, what guiding principles will shape your decision-making during a crisis, and how will you balance transparency, fiscal responsibility, and the needs of Guam's residents while maintaining public confidence?
I just want to make sure that question was directed to me, because that described 30 years, the past 30 years of my life. Okay, as a Homeland Security Advisor, and as also working in drug enforcement, and now working with the Azuda Foundation to provide disaster relief. Those are the contingencies that we have to plan for. The redundancies, the resiliencies, the things that make it necessary for us to be able to plan in case of that we need to go to plan B. That's been my life over the last basically 30 years, is planning those resilient, redundant processes so that when it does happen, when it does occur, it's not a matter of having to find out or to create the plan. The plan is there. okay? And the process is there, and the confidence to be able to do that is there. So that's what we need to be able to do. That's what you should expect in your leader. Not to wait for something to happen, but to plan for something, just in case it happens.
One thing that's important is a continuity of operations plan, and that's what happens if funding is cut. What happens if a disaster occurs? How are you going to be able to pivot if federal funds are no longer existent? So you need to create that culture in the organization and across government in order to pivot. Because if you don't do it, you're going to be left trying to figure out, and it's going to be too late if the funding already stops. So you need to have that continuity of operations plan.
Thank you very much. Mr. Adam, Mr. Calvo, every administration will encounter agencies that fall short of expectations. And effective leaders must balance coaching, support, accountability, and decisive action. Describe a time when you had to address an underperforming team or organization. How will that experience shape the way you evaluate, support, and, when necessary, replace cabinet members or agency leaders?
I have a lot of experience with teams that are underperforming and taking them and turn them around. It starts with, again, I use the word transparency, but really it's that teamwork, that being fair and open with everyone you're working with so they understand what's expected of them, and then you hold them accountable to meet those expectations. The key is also providing the resources, providing the support that they need to get the job done. And that's, I guess, a mindset that goes across the board with anything that I've been involved with, from business, and it will also continue in the government of Guam.
It's about working together, ensuring that everyone is on the same page when we move forward. Because we can't leave one department or agency behind. When we do things like that, then you're going to see a government that falls apart. A government that's cohesive and working together will ensure that the services that they provide for our people on our island will be A+. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we have to do, is ensuring our government is always up to par.
Thank you, candidates. We will now conclude with our lightning round. These questions are intended to reveal leadership philosophy and instinctive decision-making. So each response should be concise and limited to 30 seconds. The previous questions explored policy and governance. The lightning round is designed to reveal leadership philosophy, and we ask each candidate to answer instinctively, clearly, and concisely. And it may be follow-up questions, but I'll follow up with those as they occur. So I'll ask the same question of each team, and they have 30 seconds to respond. This is regarding, again, fiscal discipline and sustainability. So I'll ask this to this team. Mr. Blas and Ms. Okada, you're first. Okay?
Sure.
All right. All right. Should surplus revenues go first to debt? No. Should surplus revenues go first to debt reduction, reserves, or tax relief?
It should go to debt reduction. You know, right now, this administration claims that it's got in excess funds. Well, how do you claim you got excess funds when you got debt and money that you still owe? Let's pay down the debt that we have, so that when the next time we don't have to worry about that debt. So it should be able to go there. Right now, as it stands, we get excess funds. We decide to grow government. We can't do that. We've got to be able to reduce the debt that we have.
Thank you very much. Same question. Should surplus revenues go to first debt reduction, reserves, or tax relief?
It should go to debt reduction, and that is part of also vendor payables. When you hear about vendor payables, yes, everyone seems to see that the government of Guam has a surplus, but what they're not saying is that vendor payables the vendors are not being paid. And there are so many vendors that need their money so that they can keep their employees, so that they can pay their taxes, so that we can keep our economy going.
Thank you. Ms. Okada, this is under government effectiveness and accountability. Should agencies' directors be graded publicly?
Please repeat that.
Should agency directors be graded publicly?
I believe that agency directors should be graded publicly because we serve the people, and agency directors carry out the mission of their respective organizations. So getting a public pulse of how the agency is doing is a good measure for continuous quality improvement. And we want to improve services. So getting a grade helps us to improve services by giving feedback to those agency directors.
Mr. Calvo, Mr. Hatter, should agency directors be graded publicly?
Yes, I believe they should be, but in the business world, as in the public sector, I don't think that it's really about, it's all about the context. Giving a grade to a manager while they're in development, while they're working on a project and working to get that mission accomplished isn't the right look. And so what's important to me is that we set the standards and we understand that if we're going to critique and publicly grade our management team, that everyone understands what we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Atta, under economic growth and diversification, is Guam too dependent on tourism and military spending?
I believe Guam is too dependent on military buildup and tourism. We need to grow our economy. But before we can grow our economy, we need to fix our house. We need to ensure that when we have new investors that want to come to our island, that they're not going to see the same thing that us locals are going through, and that's a permitting process from Timbuktu, right? Because it takes, I remember one of the restaurants in Agana that wanted to do renovations, and it took them a year just to get a renovation permit.
Thank you. I'm going to follow up with that question. If we're too dependent on tourism and military spending, what other industries do you see that we could do? 30 seconds.
There's many other industries that are out there. There's 3D printing. There's other manufacturings that can come to Guam. We just need to open up our borders. We need to ensure that when we can turn around and improve our processes on our island, then we can start bringing in other industries. Because tourism and the military buildup is going to plateau at a certain point. And tourism is not going up at this point in time. So until we turn around and start increasing tourism, then we'll be able to look at other industries that we need to rely on.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Blas, same question. Is Guam too dependent on tourism and military spending?
It's not a matter of dependence. We have to continue with military build-up efforts and tourism efforts. We got to rebrand our tourism industry so that we can create a new product to be able to provide. At the same time, we got to be able to diversify. You know, there's a reason why the military is here. The reason why there were other places there. It's called location, location, location. We sit in 70% of the world's GDP, right in the middle of it. Let's look at the opportunities that that opportunity provides to our people, and so that we can provide it to them.
Thank you. So my follow-up question to that is, what major improvement do you think that Guam should do or perform in order to attract more tourists to Guam?
Let's rebrand our island. You know, we've got the uniqueness of our island in our culture, in our people, in our food. Okay, we're competing against sun, sand, and surf against 1,000 other destinations. We have what is called the Hafa spirit. The spirit of being able to bring people into our homes. The spirit of bring people within our community. That's what we got to be able to do. We got to rebrand this so that we can provide a better, more experiential opportunity for our visitors.
Thank you very much. So I've got a question from Ms. Okada. On the business and regulatory environment, should permit applications be able to track applications online in real time?
Absolutely.
And how would you provide that?
So you would digitize it. So right now, instead of, so the one-stop doesn't work. So you need to be able to explore the different aspects of the business licenses and ensure that all the workflow is necessary and moving forward, and then create, as the speaker indicated in a legislation that he has, indicate that if there is no movement on it, that there is a conditional approval.
Okay, I'm going to follow up on that question, and that is, a lot of agencies don't have similar software platforms that communicate with each other. How do you straighten that out?
So you find out what the, why the integration doesn't occur, and you find a solution for it. So there are many agencies across the world that have best practices and software implementation that have systems speak together. So you need to find out what it is that we are missing, and how do you link those two components so that they do speak to each other.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, for the Calvo team, under, again, business regulatory environment, same question. Should permit applications be able to track applications online and in real time?
I think that is clear. That's obvious that that's the efficient way to go. We need to leverage technology. We need to be able to allow users to get the job done and to work more efficiently with the government, and I think that's very clear. On the, since that question's clear, I want to circle back and say that, we have to have plans for tourism, and I know we talked about diversification, but there's not much that will impact our island as quickly, and we need to turn the tourism industry around. That's $1 billion missing from our economy today, so we're going to attack that. I just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Okay, my follow-up question to that is that in the tourism industry today, we're supposed to be amongst the digital part of the digital world. A lot of countries, Korea, China, Japan, they don't pay by cash or credit card. They use their phone or the palm of their hand. What do you propose in order to get the private sector to be on the same platform as some of these digital platforms where source countries come to visit?
Yeah, that's understanding your customer, understanding Marketing 101, and providing them the easiest way for them to do business here on the island. And I understand that that's a significant issue that will be addressed, but let's go back to basics. We need to clean up our island and get it looking better. We need to clean up our house before we invite people over for a party. And that just hasn't been done. And so we have plans in place, and I'm going to take special interest to make sure that it gets done. Whether it's Tumon, north, south, we're going to invest in our attractions, invest in our island once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now for the, again, for the Calvo team, this is under government modernization and structural reform. Question is, does Guam have too many government agencies?
And I think it goes back again to consolidating the agencies that can be. When you look at the different agencies in land, for example, you have Department of Land Management, you have Chamorro Land Trust, you have Guam Ancestral Lands Commission. Let's look at what we can do to consolidate those agencies and make them one agency, as we did under Governor Calvo's time. Look at the different other, where they're very similar with one another, with Guam Economic Development Authority and Guam Visitors Bureau. How can they work hand in hand by continuing to allow visitors to come in and also attracting new businesses?
Thank you very much. And my follow-up question is, Guam Land Use Commission, Chamorro Land Trust, Ancestral Lands, they all have different missions, all have different constituencies. They're all deeply rooted in passionate practitioners who believe that land belongs to the people. How do you balance all those agencies, all their different mission objectives together with development?
They still have one thing in common, and that's land. It doesn't mean that you take different folks from land, ancestral lands or Chamorro Land Trust and remove them and just have it under one. You still need the expertise of those within the different departments and agencies. What you're doing is that you're making them interwork with each other so that they can help and utilize each other to fulfill the mission of Department of Land Management or Chamorro Land Trust or Ancestral Lands. Because one agency may have an expertise that other agency doesn't have. It's about collaborating and working together.
Thank you very much. So, for the Blas Okada team, same question. Do you think Guam has too many government agencies?
Federal government has 12 agencies, and they service to 800 million people. The government of Guam has 51 agencies, and we serve to 150,000 people. Okay, you do the math. Okay? I think it's pretty obvious. We've got too many agencies. And a lot of these agencies have overlapping responsibilities. We talked about land. There's also in the healthcare industry. Don't get me started there. Because a lot of times, talk about not being able to talk to each other. We've got a hospital that's got 3 management systems that don't talk to each other. If you have that already within one agency, you can consolidate all of that with the rest of the agencies that you've got.
Thank you very much. Here's my follow-up question. So everybody has talked about consolidation, and then we have one agency who's head of 5 different agencies that have land in their name. Do you believe, or would you support an initiative to raise the salaries and benefits of agency directors to somewhere similar to what they do in the government of Singapore, where many of their directors there are over $200,000 per annum, paid for professional help in order to consolidate these agencies? Would you support something like that?
Okay, to answer the question in 30 seconds, it's a long no, okay? But at the same time, we've got to be able to look at advantage. The subject matter experts are sitting right in here. And the problem that we've had in government is we hadn't had that conversation with you to be able to fix some of the government inefficiencies that we have so that we can make it easier for you. So it's not a matter of how much the salary the individual makes up here. It's what's in here and what's down here and the conversations they have with you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to go back to fiscal discipline and sustainability on this question. Should the maintenance of government facilities and equipment be funded before requesting appropriations for new initiatives?
Can you repeat the
Sure.
question, please?
Should maintenance of government facilities and equipment be funded before requesting appropriations for new initiatives?
Whenever a building is constructed, there should be a total cost of ownership included in that. What does it cost going forward? What does it cost in terms of personnel, maintenance, et cetera, going forward? So yes, they need to factor in the total cost of ownership, except in education when there may be an initiative related to student success.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Adam, Mr. Calvo, again, should maintenance of government facilities and equipment be funded before requesting appropriations for new initiatives?
Absolutely. And especially when you you purchase equipment, automobiles or heavy equipment, those things should always come with a maintenance contract. Because just like when we buy our automobiles, we have maintenance contracts with them. That's how we get our vehicles to last longer within the government of Guam. What's happening is that we're just going out there, purchasing a vehicle, and not even worrying about what's going to happen to that vehicle in the next 12 to 24 months. Contracts should always be in place prior to buying new vehicles and prior to ensuring that these are funded.
Thank you very much. Let's talk again about economic growth and diversification. What is more important for growth? This is for you all. What is more important for growth, tax incentives or reliable government services?
Reliable government services are fundamental. It's what we expect as residents of Guam, and that should be prioritized above anything. Tax incentives is a tool. Obviously, in our time at GITA, I'm proud of a lot of the projects that were renovated and brought new life, like the old Palace Hotel and like the Subaki Hotel, and we've used the QC program effectively. We need to look at revamping that QC program so it works for tomorrow's needs. But first and foremost, it is the fundamentals to take care of services first.
Thank you very much. Mr. Blas, what is more important for growth, tax incentives or reliable government services?
It's a reliable government services. You know, right now you're paying the taxes. You want to make sure that what you're paying for, you're actually getting. Okay? And the reason why you've got the tax incentives is because of the frustration that government is not providing the services. But, you know, just like in many of your businesses, the reason why you have customers coming back, and it's not about the price, it's about the product. It's about the service that you're providing. And if you can improve that, okay, then you've maximized the money that you've got and that you're earning.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about, again, business and regulatory environment. Should agencies provide one complete list of corrections at the beginning of a review process when it comes to permitting?
You have to repeat that, please, for me.
Should agencies provide one complete set of corrections at the beginning of the review process?
So I would say no, primarily because in the concurrent review, there might be something that they overlooked on the first review. So if you have an opportunity to provide corrective services, then you should give the opportunity to make those corrections and then identify any other issue that may restrict from providing a clear pathway.
All right, thank you. Mr. Atta, again, the same question. Should agencies provide one complete list of corrections at the beginning of the review process?
Yes, they should. And like I mentioned earlier, what should happen is that if an agency has an issue with whatever has been submitted to them, look at it, but don't hold the process up. Keep the process moving so that they can come back and find out what is going on and why their permitting process hasn't been able to clear, whether it be DPW or EPA. But let's not stop the process. Keep the process moving, and we'll address those issues when they come back to review it.
Thank you very much. So I had another question again. Should procurement protests be limited to prevent abuse?
I believe that procurement process protests should actually be those that are involved in the procurement. If you have a stake in the procurement and you protest, that's fine. But if you have no stake in that procurement, then you should not be able to protest. Only those that are within the procurement of what is being done, that we be able to move with that protest and address the protest, whatever it may be. And if it can't be solved, cancel the procurement and restart the bid process all over again.
Thank you. Team Blas Okada. Should procurement protests be limited to prevent abuse?
Yes, it should be limited. It should be limited to the procurement. And it should be limited to the processes that exist. I think right now that the process provides so that if there's a comma in the wrong place, if there's a sentence that was ambiguous, that's the grounds for your protest. We've got to be able to tighten up those reasons as to why you can protest, and then look at it as to whether or not it's frivolous or whether or not it's just made to be able to stop a process, and then allow it to move forward.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to go back to you about tourism. What would you, in your administration, what would be the things that you would do in order to get rid of some of the derelict buildings in Tumon?
Well, there are statutes that exist with regards to, how it should be provided. There was a recent law that was passed to provide incentive to be able to fix these things. You're right. In order for us to be able to invite people, nobody's going to want to go to a dirty house. We've got to be able to fix it. And this can be done not just from the government level, but at the community level. If we get together as a community and be able to address some of these areas that are derelict together, we can work it.
At our Calvo team, in your administration, what would you do to get rid of the derelict buildings in Tumon?
Yeah, buildings in the private sector, in private hands, need to be addressed. In our platform for tourism, we will be appointing a chief of tourism and economic development that will bring stakeholders together at the table, all the agencies associated with tourism, because it touches everybody. And a plan for the future, call it version 3.0, will be introduced, and it will address how to handle public facilities, private facilities. There will be repercussions for not taking care of your properties, because that's the product that we're presenting to the world. And so that's all happening under our administration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to follow up your response with this question. All the visitor touch points in Tumon and throughout the island right now are being managed by the Guam Visitors Bureau. Is that the right agency that should handle these customer touch points?
It's the right agency today, the way the structure is. They have the most means, but I think that's something that, again, the chief of tourism will determine with the team how to get the job done. But we know that result that we want to accomplish is a better looking Guam. If there's faded paint, if there's graffiti, if there's stray dogs, it's taken care of. And that goes across the island, not just in the epicenter of San Vitores. So I think today it's GVB. The look of tomorrow and the makeup is whatever it's going to take to be the most efficient government possible and keep Guam clean and presentable. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to go to this side on tourism. What tax incentives do you think will be inviting in order to revitalize the tourism in Guam?
Let's offer the tax incentives to local businesses and to entrepreneurs and to people who want to be able to be a part of this tourism, this product called tourism on Guam. Give them the opportunity. You know, the tax incentives that we have right now are focused around the providing the room and the board. How about providing the product? Giving the tax incentive for our business to be able to provide a product so that people can, when they come to Guam and they experience they provide a product, or they get a product, they buy a product, it comes from Guam. How about there?
Thank you very much. You know, I want to apologize to you because I didn't ask the same question as the team over here. I'm going to ask it again for you to get your comments. And that is, the Guam Visitors Bureau right now takes care of all of the public touch points that visitors come, parks, beaches, recreational areas. Do you think the Guam Visitors Bureau is the right agency? If not, who should take care of this?
You know, at one point in time, the Guam Visitors Bureau had brought that product and looked to the community to be able to take care of those products. Then they brought it back into themselves. Look at what it's provided. I think we need to be able to look at this, okay, and go back to having a community involvement, having businesses also help in this process, bringing it so that the Guam Visitors Bureau, they'll go ahead and focus on marketing it off-island. Our community will take care of being able to clean up our house and providing the experience for the traveler.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. Sorry?
We get that other tourism question?
Yes. And that is, what tourism tax incentives do you think will be appropriate in order to invite more investment into Guam?
I think what we need to look at is also giving tax incentives to the optional tours, you know, the restaurants, the small restaurants, the small independently owned tour agencies that are struggling to make a living. Give them the incentives so that they can turn around and sell the product of Guam, which is a better Guam where they can go hiking, they can eat at certain restaurants, whatever it may be, but we need to start improving what we're offering before we can bring more tourists to our island.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Fiscal discipline and sustainability. This is for you all. Are GovGuam annual operational costs just right, too little, or too much?
Repeat the question.
Are GovGuam annual operational costs just right, too little, or too much?
I think we need to look at the overall picture of government of Guam. And we're looking at a $1.4, $1.5 billion budget for this year. What have we, in the past several years, what have we provided to our people with $1 billion in budget the past several years, in addition to over $2 billion in federal funds that came in. When you look around, you don't see much improvements to our island. Is GovGuam budgeting too much? We need to go back and examine and ensure that we right-size government and right-size spending.
Thank you very much. Response? For the Blas Okada team, are GovGuam annual operational cost just right, too little, or too much?
I believe it's too much, based on all the complaints that we've received from constituents as to how long it takes for you to get any service, if not minimal service. So it's too much. And we need to redefine, realign the budget based on where the services need to be improved. We need to fix the process so that our constituents, all stakeholders, have good experience, good customer service. So based on the level of performance, it's too much.
Now, my follow-up question to that is, when we say operational costs, most of that's going to be payroll. Would you support more initiatives into putting more private sector partnerships, such as outsourcing or privatization?
Yes, I would support public-private partnerships for many entities, primarily because if a business can do better instead of the government, then we should let the business provide the better service. We should not be growing the government based on how many people we are going to need in order to get elected. I think it needs to be based on who provides the better service, because our customers are paying. You businesses are paying the taxes.
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you support privatization, outsourcing, cutting down public employee payroll in order to deliver better services?
We always have to look at public-private partnerships because many of them do work. But critical services that the government must and should operate should stay with government. Anywhere that we can ensure that a public-private partnership will be more advantageous to our people and to the community, to the consumers, absolutely. And that's what we need to look, is that balance to ensure that these public-private partnerships are working and government is working at the same token.
Thank you very much. We're going to talk more about tourism. Should Guam focus more on higher spending visitors rather than visitor volume?
It's a good question. I think that Guam needs to be diverse. I think anywhere in the world you have high-tier visitors. In that case, you need a high standard of service. You need a certain level of food and beverage operation, a certain level of hotel. You need to fix the operation at the airport and the corridors to Tumon. But we also need the volume play. We need tourists that are going to enjoy the ecotourism opportunities, the younger tourists, more wedding market. There's different tiers, and we need to attack them all systematically. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For the Blas Okada team, should Guam focus more on higher spending visitors rather than visitor volume?
No, we should diversify, and we should actually focus on both sides. And we have that opportunity to be able to do this, okay? Be able to offer an experience that they hire an individual who can spend a lot and can experience, as well as a family, an individual who just wants to get away to go play around the golf or to go to the beach. At the same time, what we need to do is make sure that when they come, whatever experience they want to get or they have is a memorable experience that they want to come back.
Thank you. So I'm going to throw another tourism question. In your administration, what is your vision 4 years from now, the role of the Guam Visitors Bureau?
The role of the Guam Visitors 4 years ago should be able to market Guam. Market Guam. I think that, I've got an initiative that would basically revamp tourism. It's called the Guam Experience Authority. It's being able to make sure that the experience that a visitor gets is the same experience that a family would get here in Guam. Because you see, if a family can enjoy the experience here in Guam and can tout about it, the visitor is going to want to be able to feel that same experience. That's what we want to be able to do.
Thank you. This side, again, 4 years into your administration, what is your vision of the role of the Guam Visitors Bureau
Said 4 years?
in 4 years?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with GVB. I think it's leadership. I think it starts at the top, and it goes down to putting the right people in place and holding them accountable. And I think, again, with the Chief of Tourism and our administration working with the entire government of Guam to all have a North Star, to have a plan that we are all following in unison with the stakeholders in the private sector. That's going to be the key. And within 4 years, we're going to get that $1 million mark again. I mean, sorry, not million arrival mark on an annual basis. And then we're going to go back to what we were pre-pandemic and start going to new heights of tourism. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to go back to government modernization and structural reform. This is for you all, team. Should modernization focus first on the services used by the greatest number of residents? Should modernization focus first for the services used by the greatest number of residents?
I believe it should focus on the greatest number of residents that are using the services, because what we need to do is we need to ensure that modernization grows with our community. Modernization needs to be one of those things that we can ensure that if it's going to be revenue collections, we collect revenues with Department of Revenue and Taxation. We need to ensure that whether it be another different agency, Parks and Recreation, high volume use of our people, they be able to ensure that their permittings or whatever that they want to ensure to get their people into different areas, then let's do it. Let's modernize our government.
Thank you. So my follow-up question is, what 2 things would you put on your list to do first for modernization?
I think not in any priority, but number 1 is going to be the Port Authority. We are an economy that relies heavily on imports, and that's not going to change regardless how much we improve our manufacturing and our agriculture industry here. So we need to invest in the port and make sure that we're as efficient as possible, and we go to the next level in terms of vessels that can come in and the service we can provide, and keep our costs under control, maybe even reduce costs. There's nothing that will impact our island economically as much as the port. The second is going to be our utilities underground so that we don't ever have to have bad water and no power.
Thank you. I think we already have the water underground, so that's good. We're a head start. So, Blas, Okada team, should modernization focus first on the services used by the greatest number of residents?
Okay, should focus first on the most services used. When was the last time you went and tried to get a driver's license? Okay, or pay your taxes, and then find out that that you owe taxes, that they say that you owe taxes from last year when you actually already paid it. So we need to be able to modernize in those areas, because we start to modernize in those areas, some of the very basic services that our people ask for, things will become a lot easier.
And so, all right, thank you very much. So I have a question for you regarding government effectiveness and accountability. Should government publish agency service delivery results?
Yes, the government should publish agency delivery results, because the public deserves to know how efficient each government entity is working, how they are in alignment with their strategic plan. Are they carrying out the mission that they are being held accountable to? So yes, they should publish. The citizen-centric is one way, their audits are another, the budget performance is another measure. So all of those together show and just demonstrate government efficiency.
So my follow-up question would be, what agencies would you prioritize that would publish the results at least on a quarterly basis?
Department of Administration would be the first, because it is the lifeline of where all the government funding comes from, and in connection with that is Department of Revenue and Taxation, because they collect the revenues that are necessary for us to efficiently report our revenues, identify, because if we don't know how much money we have, we don't know how much money we're spending, then we're lost in budgeting and everything else.
Thank you. Again, for your team, should government publish agency service delivery results?
Yes, they should, and that goes to transparency on how well and effective and efficient an agency is working for the people of Guam, ensuring that the quality of work that is going out, that they can ensure that they are providing, your tax dollars are providing the services that you depend and you deserve to receive.
And my follow-up question is, what 2 or 3 agencies would you prioritize?
Well, currently we're under performance-based budgeting on a couple of agencies. And like Dr. Mary said, Department of Revenue and Taxation is one of those agencies that should be prioritized in Department of Public Works, ensuring what roads are getting paved, what's happening with stripings, what's happening with picking up of abandoned vehicles. How are we working to ensure that the quality of life for our people is working for the people of Guam again?
Thank you very much. So again, under economic growth and diversification, should local hiring and procurement be part of the military buildup negotiations?
It should always be a part of the local the negotiations. Otherwise, all we're going to be seeing, I mean, when you look at currently what's happening, a contractor gets the prime contracting bid. And it's you folks here that are providing the labor and the materials for those prime contractors that are off island. Why is that? It should be our locals getting these prime contracts so that we can provide and be able to ensure that we're getting part of that, but that money that is coming for this military buildup.
Thank you very much. The question over to the Blas Okada team. Should local hiring and procurement be part of the military buildup negotiations?
It was always supposed to be a part of that. And we need to go back and revisit that. We need to make sure that there's a continuity in that. Okay, because the expertise is here. We have the expertise, and one of the things that we need to continue and we need to bolster is find out from them, what are your needs in the future, both from the manpower needs as well as from the equipment or the supply needs, so that we can help to prepare this so that the opportunities exist for our people.
Thank you very much. Okay, fiscal discipline and sustainability. Would you freeze non-essential hiring if revenues decline?
Yes, I would freeze non-essential hiring as revenues decline, except for those positions that are required, like nurses and police officers, firefighters. So we would have to identify the critical areas, but otherwise, yes, I would freeze the hiring.
Thank you very much. So, again, on this table here, would you freeze non-essential hiring if revenues decline?
I guess that's why Speaker Blas didn't answer, because Speaker Blas and I introduced legislation that would freeze non-essential hiring. And it's important because we don't know what next year's budget is going to be in having these additional hires. So what we also need to look at, it doesn't stop the merit bonus increments and pays. It doesn't stop that. It just says, let's take a break. Let's look at what we're doing to ensure that we got the proper amount of workforce within our government, but yet not going over and ensuring that it's just going to be carte blanche for hiring.
Thank you very much, everybody. That concludes the lightning round portion of this program. You all did very well. Thank you very much for your answers. So now we invite each gubernatorial team to offer a closing statement and share the vision that they hope will guide Guam over the next 4 years. So I turn it over to...
Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce once again. There's a term that the kids use nowadays. It goes, standing on business. And it means doing what you say you're going to do. It means stepping up and delivering. It means make it happen. The people of Guam and the Chamber are tired of excuses. And they want leaders who stand on business. Leaders who produce results. And the Calvo team is ready to do exactly that. Thank you.
This election is arguably one of the most important in our island's history. We can't afford another 4 years of decline while Guam's reputation erodes as quickly as our economy. EJ and I will bring change, bring hope, and earn your trust. You have our commitment to manage the government with an open door to our business community, to always act for the benefit of our entire island, and to hold the government accountable to performance standards and results. We will restore confidence in our government, most importantly with our people, but also with our federal partners and with all stakeholders who have invested in our island, who are considering Guam as a place of opportunity once again. We will work with industry to implement a new plan to save tourism, grow our economy, and create jobs. We will improve the quality of life for everyone through better services for our people, modern infrastructure, safer villages, reduced cost of living, and a stronger economy that creates opportunity for all. Let me be clear. The Calvo administration will stand on business. We thank you for being here today and all that you do for your employees, for our economy, and for our island. On August 1st, please vote Calvo for Governor and Lieutenant Governor. Sidus Maasi, God bless you all, and God bless Guam.
Blas Okada team.
Well, first off, today's discussion made one thing unmistakably clear. Guam needs reform. Not reform in theory, not reform in speeches, but reform in action. The kind of action that strengthens our fiscal foundation, restores accountability, and positions our island to compete and win in a rapidly changing world. Throughout our campaign, Mary and I have engaged in a listening tour, and we've heard your frustrations. We heard the aspirations, and we heard the truth. Our systems must work better, faster, and more transparently if we expect businesses to invest, workers to thrive, and families to feel secure about their future. Fiscal stewardship cannot be optional. It is the bedrock of stability. When government budgets honestly, spends responsibly, and measures results, confidence grows. And with confidence comes investment. Accountability cannot be selective. It must be the standard. Predictable processes, clear timelines, and transparent decision-making are not luxuries. They are minimum requirements of a modern economy. And economic growth cannot be passive. Guam must modernize, digitize services, streamline permitting, strengthen infrastructure, and build a workforce ready for the opportunities ahead. Competitiveness is something we hope for. It is something we will build. If there's one message we hope that you all carry out of this room, is that reform is not the responsibility of government alone, nor the business alone. It's a shared project, and we must move together. Thank you for today. Thank you for your continued partnership. The work ahead is serious, and so are we. And with Blas Okada as your next governor, lieutenant governor, we can build a better island, the Guam our people deserve.
And on August 1st, the gubernatorial team of Blas Okada humbly asks for your support, but more importantly, your vote. We bring our collective professional experience, education, and training to the forefront, and we are ready to get to work on day one. Sidus Maasi to all of you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Today we've heard different ideas and different approaches, but one responsibility unites every candidate on this stage: the stewardship of Guam's future. Thank you, candidates, our members, our audience in this important conversation. Now I'd like to turn the podium over to the chairman of the Guam Chamber of Commerce for his closing remarks.
Thank you. I don't know about you, but that was pretty exciting. I think you've heard a lot of good ideas. One idea I'm going to throw out to these two candidates, whoever should win, is that at the bank we have this customer survey. It's called Medallia. It's a system. So when there's a transaction that is processed, These automatic surveys go out randomly if they have the emails, etc., and they respond, good, bad, whatnot. And the manager has so many days to respond. If he doesn't respond, then it elevates to me, and then it elevates up to senior management. That's called accountability. Then we also have this thing called a customer satisfaction score. Our minimum score out of 10 is 9.1. I think you should embed a customer satisfaction score because that's what I heard about. But anyhow, I just want to thank all of you. I'm sure you have a lot more to say, and I encourage all of us out here to visit their websites, speak to them personally, learn more, and then you can update your scorecards because this has been a fantastic thing. I want to emphasize, as was said here today, I cannot overemphasize that we are at a very critical juncture. The definition of insanity is to do things over and over again, the same things over and over again, and expect different results. That's what we're looking for. We want people to not do things over and over again. We want different ideas. And based on a lot of the social media posts, there's a lot of movement out there. People are looking for change, and we want to look for accountable leaders. Most important, you need to speak to your staff. You need to speak to your friends, your family. Let them know, and let us know if you need to come to your offices to help you register them. Because we can talk, but if we don't get the voters out to vote, it means nothing. And we need to educate a lot of our staff, friends, and families, get them out to vote. And we're willing to go out to your workplaces to help them if you need to register. Again, one last thing, thank you all for your patience. This has been fantastic. Thank you, teams. This was fantastic. Speakers Blas, Dr. Okada, Vice Speaker Ada, and EJ. This was fantastic. Let's give them one round of applause. And that concludes our general membership meeting. Tomorrow we'll have the Democratic Forum, so I look forward to seeing all of you. So please drive safely and have a great day. Thank you.
Again, like the chairman has mentioned, that concludes the Guam Chamber of Commerce Gubernatorial Forum, day one with the Republican Party. So please tune in tomorrow. We will start the stream again around 10:30 a.m. for another round of the Guam Chamber of Commerce Gubernatorial Forum with the 3 Democratic candidates. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, this is Wave 105, and we now bring you your regularly scheduled program on Wave 105. Sus Masi.